The transfer window is a time full of surprises. A time for clubs to replenish their squads with fresh new talent in hopes of success. As clubs dig deep into their pockets to acquire what they believe could be the next big thing. But not all transfers are as straightforward as we think. And today, ladies and gentlemen, I'ma highlight just a few that I thought were particularly weird. In 1996, ex-footballer Graham Souness managed the Turkish giants Galatasaray. He led them to a Turkish Cup win that season. But what's remembered most from his time spent in Turkey was after the Super Cup final, Souness grabbed his team's flag and planted it in the centre of Galatasaray's biggest rivals and losers on the day, Fenerbahce's home field. Fans chased him down the tunnel, and Souness was met with a clamp to the head. It was at that moment that Souness decided to return home for his safety and have another crack at managing in the Premier League, this time Southampton. And here's where the story begins. Around the time of Souness's arrival back in England, Premier League clubs were receiving calls from a mysterious man, the mysterious man being George Weah. See, George Weah, for those who don't know, was the best footballer in the world at the time. He had just won a Ballon d'Or and FIFA World Player of the Year, and to this day still remains the only African to ever win either of these awards. So with that being said, when George Weah comes calling, not only do you pick up, but you listen. And as a result, Souness did. George Weah claimed to have a cousin, we'll call him Mystery Man for now, that played with Weah at PSG, and that the Mystery Man had scored some goals for the Senegalese international team. Souness was hesitant at first, but thanks to his poor start to the season, with the Saints winning just 3 out of their first 13 games, Souness had no other options, so he bit on the bait. And so, Mystery Man was invited down to the South Coast and had been scheduled to play in the reserve game, so coach and staff could assess his quality. However, heavy rain left the pitch waterlogged, and the fixture was called off. Nevertheless, Mystery Man, despite failing to impress in training, was given a 1-month contract and was named on the bench for a clash with Leeds on November 23rd due to injuries tearing through the first team. And when talisman Matt Le Tissier became the latest victim, Mystery Man was summoned from the bench. But there was just one issue. It was all a lie. See, Mystery Man, otherwise known as Ali Dia, was a 31-year-old Senegalese footballer playing for non-league side Blythe Spartans. In fact, he was not only not George Weah's cousin, but also never played for neither PSG nor for Senegal. But it gets worse, as believe it or not, Ali Dia had performed the stunt many times before, in hopes of being able to con his way into a team. First, Gillingham manager Tony Pulis received the same call and offered Dia a trial, but Pulis claimed he was rubbish and let him go. The same would take place at Rotherham and Bournemouth, with both clubs offering a trial in which he was exposed for being a fraud. Even West Ham manager Harry Redknapp would receive this call, but turned down the idea instantly, claiming this is a wind-up. Nevertheless, this facade had managed to fool Souness, and Ali Dia had gotten what we all dreamed of, a chance to play in the Premier League. Instantly, it was clear that Dia wasn't what he claimed to be. Matt Le Tissier later stated that Graham put him on and he was hopeless. But regardless, the 31-year-old Senegalese played 53 minutes in the top flight and achieved a remarkable 100% shot accuracy. However, the Saints lost 2-0. It was so bad that after the match, Graham Souness claimed,
"He didn't do well today, he didn't get a kick in the ball, but..."
Ali Dia knew his time was numbered at Southampton, and so he done what all of us would have done. He done a runner. And no one has ever heard or seen from George Weah's cousin, Ali Dia, ever again. In the summer of 1997, the 17-year-old French wonderkid Nicolas Anelka had just played his first season in professional football, despite still being on a youth contract. He had played only 10 games for PSG that season, most of which he came off the bench, and he managed to grab 1 goal. Nevertheless, in what would become classic Anelka fashion, the 17-year-old deemed himself too good for not only PSG, but French football as a whole. But the funny thing is, that this actually wasn't crazy to say. See, Anelka from a very young age was tipped to be the next big thing. He attended Clairefontaine, France's football academy of excellence, for the best of the best French teenagers. And he excelled, reaching a league above his fellow peers. But you don't have to believe what I say, just listen to what the footballers say.
So much better than Thierry.
At the time.
You know, when they first joined,
Yeah.
you know, when Nicolas joined,
Yeah.
and, you know, you compare them, Nicolas was like so good.
The likes of Nicolas Anelka, you know, in my eyes, that was one of the best strikers ever. I know people might disagree, that's my opinion.
But my hardest player I played against for Arsenal was Anelka.
Yeah, you keep saying.
He was
Acceleration.
an absolute problem.
Oh, man.
Just on the acceleration alone.
Top 3 hardest players I played against in my career.
Now after hearing all that, I think it's safe to say that his thoughts were justified. And so Anelka told PSG he wanted out. He refused to play for PSG and demanded to be let go come the end of the season. But here's where the problem lies. See, before 1995, transfers were very different to nowadays. Recently, it seems that the players hold all the leverage when it comes to transfers. But before 1995, it was the complete opposite way around. Before 1995, clubs held all the power and leverage over a player. See, even if their contract was coming to an end and the player wanted to leave the club, a player couldn't just leave for free at the end of their contract unless the club had sold them or agreed to let them go. The club could still demand a transfer fee, and if the club wanting to purchase a player wouldn't meet the club's requirements, then the player would have to stay and suffer at the hands of the club. This meant that players were susceptible to a cut in their wages, or even worse, a refusal to sell. But this would all change in 1995 thanks to the Belgian midfielder Jean-Marc Bosman. See, Bosman's contract with RFC Liège was winding down, and he refused to sign a new contract. And so Liège were willing to sell him to Dunkirk, but both teams couldn't come to an agreement in regards to a transfer fee. And as a result, Bosman couldn't leave and was punished with a 75% cut in wages. However, Bosman wasn't having it. He decided to take RFC Liège, the Belgium FA, as well as UEFA to court. The court declared that this rule was in breach of the free movement of workers ensured in the Treaty of the European Union, and so the Bosman rule was formed. This rule was one of football's major turning points, as it gave players the power to demand higher wages or they just leave on a free at the end of their contracts. As a result, we've seen time and time again big clubs being able to attract players from smaller clubs, offering them greater wages without paying a transfer fee. But back to Anelka in 1997. See, Anelka was able to dodge the consequences that Marc Bosman had to face just 2 years prior, after basically telling PSG that he was too good for them. But there was just one more issue. Anelka was only 17 at the time. See, Anelka was still on his youth contract and had yet to sign a pro contract. And French football regulations at the time stated that a youth player must sign their first contract with the club that they trained with. And so in this instance, PSG. And so Anelka was taken to court by French football. Arsenal argued that the Bosman ruling would make Anelka exempt from French football regulations. Luckily for Arsenal and Anelka, UEFA sided with them, claiming that the move was legal, and the rest was history.
Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed your time here. But just before you go, I want to say a few things. Thank you for all the support on my last video. I appreciate the fact that you guys still support me even though I go months without uploading. But uni's got me in a headlock.
Get him up, let him get up, let him get up, let him get up. Fight back.
I'll try my best to be more consistent on this channel. Let me know any video ideas down below. Follow me on all my socials in the description. Like and subscribe to join the counter-attack. We're on the road to 10k subs, and thank you for watching.